Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about cheating in relationships. The biggest scandal of all, or is it? Is it a trend? Are we programmed to get disappointed by cheating and to lower our self-esteem due to that? Were there times where it was not an issue at all? Possibly. And maybe the people that benefit from the tabloids about cheating scandals and TV shows and thrillers, the same people that use these shocking ideas planted in women's and men's mind to later on attract that into their lives, are the same people that benefit from porn and benefit to weak us. And I'm not into conspiracy theories, but I am putting two and two together lately. And the result, the four, is one I want to share with you today. Because I find it extremely important. And by the way, it links very beautifully into Kabbalah. And I'm going to also share some 72 sacred names that tie into it. But let's just understand it on the simplest, basic level. First of all, I want to start with a ground idea that what we love, what a person loves, can be influenced. And that is a little bit contradicting to what we all believe, is that love is just, it happens, it's a magical force, and that two hearts are tied together with this divine orchestration, and it can't be controlled by our thoughts. Well, I want to put a big question mark on that. I do believe that we are introduced to people in our lives that come and teach us and help us develop, and therefore we have strong bonds to them that sometimes we call it love. But also, what we love can be influenced by our thoughts. And the way we see it the most clearly is through fashion. Now, the reason that I'm starting with this assumption or this ground point of what we love is influence, it's because it's very important to how we approach cheating. So in the same way we see trends in fashion and how people follow the trends in fashion, people also follow trends of behaviors in TV. So let's remind ourselves that one of the bestseller of all time is the Bible, but yet we kind of dismiss relationships in the Bible and we say, oh, that was back then and now it's now. But yet all the Bible, all the stories wouldn't have happened if, let's say, Sarah was mad at Abraham that cheated on her with Hagar, the maid, and had a kid. Like in our days, the relationship would be over, right? Okay, so, and Sarah is one of the four mothers. So she's like the spiritual woman. So why do we go to church, to synagogue? We hear these things, but we don't like apply that to our relationships. A lot of it is ego, but a lot of it is copying behaviors that we witness through celebrities or other people, and we're programmed to be mad and to break relationships. And it, you know what? It's not even physical cheating. It can be that someone doesn't do what the other one wants them to do. You know, we're different. Like somebody disappoints and it's like too much to handle, so we break relationship. I am and you are in a time of a lot of broken relationships, kids that are growing up without a strong foundation of mother and father. And not all of the breakups, in my opinion, and possibly mine included, are justified. Some of them are just they could have been corrected with the right examples and with the right introspection. So for example, I'll take me. My partner cheated on me, and I was like acting as a lot of women do, and I'm not saying that I copied them, but that I am like the sacrificed woman, that I'm doing everything for the household and for the kid, and how could he have done that? You know, there's a thing about women, about femininity, that are not looking at themselves. Like I think it's a natural quality that women think that they're always right. You know, it's super funny. Maybe it contributes to their beauty, I don't know. And I think that's something that we need to change. Women need to do inner work. Women need to acknowledge the fact that they are dictators, and they are very difficult to please, and they're acting like they deserve things. Okay, I acted like I deserve things, and many of my behaviors were not soft, were not looking at what I could change, and I lived like that. Everything that I did was good, and he needs to thank me. He doesn't give me enough. I'm not living the life of my dreams because of him. So that's one thing that I realized afterward. But another thing is that when we enter a relationship, we bring karma from the past. So maybe I was, like, let's say in this relationship, I decided to be a saint, right? I cut off all relationships with all men that I had before. I completely changed my act, but yet I carried unresolved things from my past too, that possibly played out in that relationship. The reason that they played out in that relationship was a act of mirroring and an act of healing for me. Okay, so nothing is random, and that's another thing that we need to take responsibility when bad things happen in relationship. Nothing is random, and everything is tied into some behavior that might not even link to how we behave in romantic partnerships. It can be a pattern in all of life. So one of my patterns is that I had this thing of deservingness and not enough being in the other person's world, and not working hard enough to see them and to communicate in a deep way without taking it to me and being sad about me. So there is a space that women don't want to enter. Women don't want to see too much weakness from a man. It's like it hurts. It changes a lot of perceptions. So if he would tell me things, you know, that he was addicted to porn since he was young, and I wanted to erase that in my mind. I would listen, but it was hard for me to tell him what to do with that. It's because I had unresolved issues too. So let's say I'm totally enlightened, right? Nobody can tell me something that would throw me off so much, and I would be totally unattracted to them. My point is, one of the patterns that women do, and sometimes men do, is that they think they're the center of the universe, they're always right, and when the other person opens up to them, it repulses them, they don't know how to respond, and they wish they hadn't been told that. That is an alarm to actually go back to self and to listen to self when things like that arise. And what are things in me that I don't want to listen to me, that are too embarrassing or too shocking? That's one thing. The other thing is that women, and I'm allowing myself to say women because a lot of them are like that, and because I'm a woman, women need to take control of, like, on their sexual urge and desire. So what happens in the relationship, the woman usually shuts down that part of her, that part of this aliveness of intimacy, of wanting to seek other people, other partners, and she kind of dies in a way. And then when the man plays out that aspect of her, of actually that he is attracted to other people, then she's very shocked and very hurt. But in fact, why are we shocked and hurt by something? We're shocked and hurt by something because it reflects a wound in us. So let's say if somebody tells me, you're fat, you're ugly, And if that would make me feel so bad that I would want to be in my house and cry all day long, that means that there is truth in it. So the fact that women are so shocked by a cheating act, it's because there is a place in them that is unresolved, that it shocks them because it is in them. They have that in them that they want to, and they are attracted to other people. But when somebody plays on that, they're like, oh, pointing fingers. Now, this doesn't mean that we need to cheat on each other in relationships and we need to have open relationships. Not at all. I think that that's the point of my video. My point of my video actually is that there are people out there that their interest is to sabotage the sexual connection between a man and a woman by polluting a lot of the ideas and concepts of how easy it is to break it and how easy it is to cheat. And I'm one of those people that think that when a man or a woman watches porn and they're in the relationship, they're regularly watching porn, they're regularly masturbating to that, they actually train their mind to be attracted to looking at other people. Now, usually when a person doesn't watch porn, when they see porn for the first time, it's kind of interesting and weird, and like, why am I supposed to be attracted to these strangers that it looks like they don't even like each other, and maybe they are fit, but I just don't get it, But like, when you watch something again and again and again, you train your mind, and that's cheating. Because what differentiates a relationship between a man and a woman and any relationship that these two people have with other people is that the man and a woman have importance for each other, and they have a section of sexuality that they share with each other, and that shows each other their value and their commitment, and they put each other in this special spot. Okay, so when we are cheated on, or a person is cheated on, suddenly they're not so important to the other person, and that can be very shocking. But let's get back to the example of being enlightened. A person that's enlightened and is full of self-love could easily break from that and say, you know what, that's their behavior. Maybe I did something that contributed to that behavior. Maybe I did something that was reflected in that behavior, because I understand that everything that happens in my life is a mirror to my internal world. But yet there is a detachment. It's not hurting so much. It's not the end of the world. There's an ability to heal and to say, I can see why that person did it. I can see how they linked to their past. I can see why they had a need to lie and cheat, and that's their coping mechanism, I guess, in life, and they didn't possibly want to communicate that. And so when we watch something on TV and we have an emotional response to that, unfortunately, we are triggering the law of attraction. It doesn't matter if it's negative or positive. And when we watch people cheating, and let's say we never had that in a relationship, and we have an emotional response to that, we plant that in our subconscious, and we almost attract that, because our emotions, they want to be relived in reality. So I don't know why when I open Netflix now, most of the shows that I watch are either extremely superficial, like Singles Inferno or Love is Blind or something like that. You put strangers that are good looking and they kind of match them together, young people and short loves and like all of that in very unreal scenarios and reality. Like, let's take them away from their world and put them together and maybe fall in love. Or just a lot of cheating and crime and murders and like a lot of there's not a lot of wholesome channels or programs, and it's not because the people don't want it. That's the thing. That's also something that's been fed to us, that fear sells. It's the same thing that When McDonald's was super popular, they said, oh, people want fast food. Yeah, okay, so if people want fast food, then why is Whole Foods so popular? Why are people wanting more and more organic? Why are people into their bodies more, into nutrition more? So suddenly they don't want fast food. So suddenly we don't want fear-based programs. So anyways, I'm lowering down the tone a little bit. And I want to say also that sometimes when we think that we are spiritual, let's say a lot of women consider themselves super spiritual. A woman that goes to a course and learns about the Akashic records or past life regression or all of that, she thinks now, oh my God, I connected to Archangel whoever, and now I channeled him and I got answers about my life and I'm on a certain frequency. But yet the moment she walks in the door back home and her partner, left the sink in a certain way, her automatic response is triggered and she says something like that maybe is an automatic response and not in the way that she would actually want to react. Given that small example, to just say in short that just because we know a lot in spirituality doesn't mean that we're spiritual in our lives. And this is why I'm making this video. It's like grounding thoughts and spiritual teachings in reality. And one of the things that I want to ground is, I taught a lot about the 72 sacred names. The 72 sacred names are names that are quoted in the Bible. We have 3 lines, 3 psukim. It's called pasuk in Hebrew. In the greatest miracle in the Bible, it's a miracle of when the ocean split in half and the Israelites went from Egypt to Israel, from slavery to freedom. And in these 3 verses, we cross them in a certain way and we get 72 sacred names. Okay, and the 72 sacred names, they have a lot of, let's say, areas they're covering. Two of the sacred names that I want to talk to you about. One is about anger. It's Pei Vav Yud, and one is about sexuality or sexual energy. Yes, like I said, 72 sacred names, that's a lot of names, and it covers also sexual energy. So the sacred name about anger is, I find, even more interesting than the sexuality name. The sexuality name is it's more simple, but both of them are built in a similar way, that they have in their 3 characters, and the middle character, the middle letter, is the same letter in both of them, and that is Vav, and that means that it's adding 2 forces and putting it together. So the sacred name that speaks about anger ties amazingly to this topic. And the reason we would use this name is that when we want to break free from anger, and let's say somebody cheated in a relationship, something bad happened, the event itself or the initial reaction itself is not what worries me. What worries me more is the baking of the anger for years, sometimes inside of a woman or a man's head. We relive the scenario and we actually sometimes want to kill that person in our thoughts. It can be as extreme. And the portrayal of male and masculine figures lately, that they are the monsters, is not healthy and not helpful for women to gain respect and neediness to the man. Because that's another issue that we're having, is that we think like, I can do it by myself. I don't need a man. I don't need a woman. I can do this. I can live like this. So the media is sending more and more monstrous portrayals of men. And when we are shocked because of that, we tend to, as I said, attract that into our lives. So the sacred name about anger speaks about when we get angry, when we relive the anger in our thoughts, we actually tie into an entity of anger. It's almost like the god of anger. And that god of anger wants to suck our juice. It's want to suck our life force. So when we actually are angry, repetitively angry, we are saying yes to somebody emptying us from the inside. So that's about anger. And the way we open the energy, we use the letter Pei. Pei is the letter of opening. Maybe this doesn't make a lot of sense to you, but just imagine like a spiral that's opening, okay? That you're opening back your energy. The reason we want to open back our energy is to regain, and I'm tying this into sexual energy. What happens with disappointments in relationships, unfortunately, is that we lose vitality. We lose our ability to feel. You know, when children, they're young, their hearts are so pure and open, they feel everything so powerfully. And as we age with more and more disappointments and more struggles, we need more to feel. Suddenly, we need like some cleansing of aura. We need drugs or mushrooms or alcohol or expensive restaurant or this type of clothes, that type of clothes. Like, we need too much in order to feel life. And the reason for that is because we are closing our hearts. Rabbi Nachman said that the more a person thinks negative thoughts, the more we build a foreskin on our heart. There's actually a saying, like there's actually a concept of foreskin around the heart. It's like a shield. We are, with every negative thought, we make our hearts feel less and less and less. And that is pretty frightening. And that's something that really shook me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to like stop thinking so much negative thoughts. And even though there is a reason why we think negative thoughts, and it's connected to our ancestors, you know, that they survived through negative thoughts. Okay, let's put it aside. We can change our DNA. We have the ability to teach ourselves how to think, to teach ourselves how to live. So basically, when we understand that link between, you know, I can't expect myself to be totally orgasmic or feel amazing when I still carry anger or unresolved issues with people that I am angry about or were angry about. So that's something, like, let's say you had an issue in the relationship. Now, there's two options: either to separate, but separate from a place of not victimize, not you did this to me and I can't live with you and poor little me and now I need to, you know, heal somewhere else, but rather from a conscious decision that, you know, this is this person and this is me and I can't do this because our values don't match, and that's a way more stable place. Or deciding to bridge over that and heal together and work through it together from the understanding that we are all victims to trends, to be angry about certain things that maybe in the past were natural and maybe in the past were not viewed as something to break a woman and a man's connection that can possibly bring so much light to the world. And I have a side note. It's not that I'm saying that women need to tolerate everything. That's completely not what I'm saying. Women do not need to tolerate all of it. And men don't either. That's the point. Women are not victims to man's behaviors, and they need to also dig deep in them and change. When the woman is able to see that she is a part of the problem, we're almost solving the problem. There is this idea that, you know, when a man cheats and she forgives, now she can do whatever she wants again, and, you know, he needs to change his behavior. Just this. It's not just this. It's like a huge net of behaviors that need to be examined. A lot of women, for example, they're not good with making decisions. They're too weak inside. They have things that they need to strengthen. They have things that they need to vocabularize better. And and they need to have the time to listen to themselves without seeking somebody else to listen to them, following their own internal voice. And that's that. Men have to work on a lot of things, and some of it also is valuing their woman and being attracted to her and building that sexual relationship with her, which is the strongest force between them. It's a powerhouse. So also a man needs to see, where am I programmed? Why do people want me to do things that I don't really want to do and are not healthy for me? How can I bring health back to my life? Anyways, that was a lot. If you like this video, please write me. If you want to work with me, I work with people one-on-one with processes of rediscovery oneself, of people getting closer to their inner voice and making better decisions and generating the magic. Because when we correct ourselves, when we correct our thinking, when we become more loving, we attract everything we want into our life. Suddenly, everybody is feeling good with us. Good things are happening. When we are still tied to anger, things are stuck. So thank you so much. Bye.